Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. I've got a few topics to share with you in this latest Moon Lambo Hot Jam. Look at this headline from the Crypto Basic. This one is a little bit peculiar, at least on the surface. Ripple CTO reacts to mysterious 410 million XRP transfer with strange 20 XRP gas fee. And so I'll tell you here, even at the outset, the part that's peculiar about this is that since, given we all know, XRP transactions are so cheap that they might as well be free. Why would there be a 20 XRP fee for a transaction? At the current market price, that's roughly $10. So if it costs $10 to move 410 million XRP, we got ourselves a problem with the XRP ledger. And then there's also this headline from the Daily Hodl. An SBF testimony could add decades to his prison sentence, according to lawyer. Here's why. And I'll end the video with that one. And then I'll start actually with just a quick little shout out to attorney John Deon, because I'll tell you what, like, this is my personal opinion, but I'm willing to bet that the vast majority, if not all of you, are probably going to feel the same. If there's one person that deserves support from the entirety of the XRP community, it's attorney John Deon. And I want to give him a shout out. And I'll explain why in just a second. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, so something pretty darn cool happened the other day. Attorney John Deon was on national television, which isn't the first time. He's been on Fox Business a number of times. But yesterday he was on, and the entire segment was a talk about John Deon's new book called Food Stamp Warrior. And I've talked about it on my channel. I've talked about it on social media platform X, and tons of other people have as well. And I just thought it was cool as hell that, he just put this book out in recent weeks. And here he's a guest, and he's the most well-known guy in the entire XRP community. And here he is on national television. And he's able to talk about his book that he put out. And by the way, I do have the book. I haven't finished it yet, and so I'll have more to say once I finish it. I know a lot of you listening have already read through the whole thing. I am going to. But I'll just tell you this, it is absolutely gripping. It is one of those things where, like, anytime I put it up, or I start reading it, it's hard to put it down because I get to a certain point and it's like, I know I need to go and I got to do other stuff, or I have to go to sleep or something. And then, like, I don't want to stop, but I have to make myself stop because it's just so, it keeps you hooked. It just does. And you can get your own copy. By the way, he didn't ask me to talk about this. I want to support him because he's done so much for us. We very well may have had a very different outcome for XRP if not for attorney John Deon. Seriously, I think there's a real good chance it wouldn't have been as clear, certainly. Because, we got in no uncertain terms legal clarity specifically for XRP, literally declared by Judge Torres. XRP is not a security. And so I just wanted to let you know, if you haven't purchased the book yet, you're not going to be disappointed if you do. Just hop on over to Amazon, type in Food Stamp Warrior, John Deon. It's going to pop right on up. I got myself a hard copy of it, but I'll talk more about it as soon as I finish it. But I just think that we should support him. Like, he has done so much for so many people the world over. Who in the XRP community deserves to be supported more than attorney John Deon? Like, name one person. Not that there aren't others that deserve to be supported, but he's number one in my mind. I'm just saying. And it's cool as hell that he's an XRP community member, the most well-known, and he's on national television. I think it's cool as hell. What a cool story. Total victory for us. It's absolutely fantastic to see. I also wanted to highlight this because, as you've heard by now, yesterday, there was fake news about the SEC approving a spot Bitcoin ETF for BlackRock. It was totally fake news. I talked about it already, so I'm not going to go in depth on that, other than to note that as a result of that occurring, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission official X account, formerly known as Twitter, their official account shared this post, which reads as follows. After the news was found to be fake, they wrote the following. Careful what you read on the internet. The best source of information about the SEC is the SEC. Did you guys have a similar response to me upon hearing that? Like, when I read that, I was like, I had the same response as the XRP community member Wheezy, which is the reason I came across this, but I was like, is this even real? They're the best source about themselves? No, they're not. No, they're not. And here, XRP community member Wheezy wrote, had to check if this was a parody account coming from one of the most corrupt government organizations. They're a complete joke. And so, actually, Attorney John Deaton, he even reposted that. And here's what Attorney John Deaton had to say. Here's a surprise. I disagree with the SEC's latest statement. The best source of information about the SEC is not the SEC. Confirmation bias and self-serving statements by the SEC disqualify it. Likewise, pissed off investors are too close to be objective. Therefore, we look to judges who are independent and serve as oversight and a check on the SEC to help shape our view of the SEC. An appellate court found the SEC to be arbitrary and capricious. Do you know how easy it is to defeat a claim of arbitrary and capricious? All the regulator needs to do is provide a plausible explanation for the denial. It doesn't have to be a good explanation or even a correct one. Even if the appellate court disagrees with the SEC's rationale, it can't find the SEC arbitrary and capricious if the SEC's reason makes plausible sense. Yet, despite such an easy standard to meet, in order to defeat an arbitrary and capricious finding, the SEC couldn't do it. The appellate court unanimously concluded the SEC's denial of a spot ETF was utter nonsense. Finally, a federal judge in the Southern District of New York called the SEC lawyers hypocrites and stated they lacked faithful allegiance to the law. Ouch. So when it comes to the SEC, I choose to listen to judges, and man, are they speaking loudly. Okay, now, ain't that the damn truth? If you look at how judges have been responding to every crypto case, in particular this year, even the ones that are not fully adjudicated yet, the way that they're talking to these asshat attorneys at the SEC, it is not favorable for the SEC. It's favorable for us in the world of crypto. And that's reason for optimism. All right, on to the next topic here. Ripple CTO reacts to mysterious 410 million XRP transfer with strange 20 XRP gas fee. A surprising and massive XRP transaction has sparked considerable curiosity among the XRP army due to its unusual details. The development has prompted Ripple's chief technology officer David Schwartz to offer additional insights to unravel the details of the transactions. Specifically, pro-XRP crypto enthusiast Saul recently took to X to share his discovery while exploring XRP Scan, a prominent XRP ledger explorer. He claimed to have noticed the activation of an XRP address on October 11th. However, what raised his curiosity was the astonishing inflow of 410 million XRP into the newly created wallet alongside the associated fee. In particular, the transfer of 410 million XRP valued at over $203 million featured an uncommon transaction fee of 20 XRP. This XRP paid for gas raised eyebrows because the standard fee for XRP transactions is a mere 0.00001 XRP. And so, folks, I'll just pause to note here, and this is why XRP is so incredible. It's the best cryptocurrency on the planet for anything payments related. But, I understand that even 20 XRP, that's not like some crazy high fee if you're comparing to legacy finance. But, that's still $10 in today's United States dollars, right? Roughly, if you look at the current market price of XRP. And so, those are the types of fees that, depending on the amount of congestion at the time, you've become accustomed to pay on other blockchains, whether it's Bitcoin or ETH. I mean, I remember in late 2017 seeing fees for Bitcoin over $50. And so at peak times, not exactly hot stuff, you know what I'm saying? But you don't expect to see that with XRP and the XRP ledger. That's the selling point. So what gives here? Well, there's a pretty reasonable explanation. And even if we can't know with 100% certainty, there's a pretty reasonable suspicion here. So anyway, piece continues. As a result, Saul brought the issue to the attention of the XRP community. He directed his inquiry to VET, and that's the name, VET, VET, a prominent XRP ledger validator. Is it normal for a payment like this to have a 20 XRP fee? Saul asked. VET responded that a 410 million XRP transaction should not have a 20 XRP fee. It is an overkill, he remarked, and that's a direct quote. And so then David Schwartz actually jumped in, and I think that he's getting to the core of this here. And I actually have seen, not frequently, but I have seen similar instances of this. And so David Schwartz responded and wrote, I wonder if they meant to set the fee to 20 drops and were off by a factor of 1,000,000. Which is kind of funny when you word it like that, frankly. Because when you're, and it literally is, because mind you, for those of you that don't know, well, I'm assuming that most of you know that there are a bunch of little pieces inside of XRP. There are individual units, and the smallest unit inside of an XRP is called a drop, just like with Bitcoin, the smallest unit inside of a Bitcoin is called a Satoshi. Well, what many of you may or may not know is that XRP is actually divisible by 1,000,000. So there's 1,000,000 units inside of each XRP. And for Bitcoin, there's way more inside of each Bitcoin. There's actually 100 million units inside of each individual Bitcoin. Which, by the way, and this is just a little sidebar here, I'll just mention this. People have said, look, there's like 5,000 times as much XRP as there's Bitcoin. It's never going to be worth so-and-so. And I've been hearing that since I jumped into crypto, which doesn't make any sense for a ton of reasons. And that's not the purpose of the video, so I won't get too off the beaten path here. But I thought I'd mention, since I'm bringing this up here, that if you look at the number of units, because again, Bitcoin's divisible by 100 million, whereas XRP is only divisible by 1 million. There's actually only, if you look at the circulating supply now, anyway, there's only about 50 times as much XRP drops as there are Bitcoin Satoshis. So if you look at, I could probably clean up the wording on that. There's only about 50 times as many drops as there are Satoshis. That's the best way to word that. Just clean it up there. And so it's not 5,000. Like a lot of people would say it's in the thousand. Well, I mean, if you're talking about the highest level, but if you look at individual units, no, it's actually not that far off. Not that it even matters, but a lot of people don't even realize that. And so anyway, that's why when you look at David Schwartz's comment here, he says, again, I wonder if they meant to set the fee to 20 drops and were off by a factor of 1,000,000. Right, and so that makes sense. It's probably fat finger syndrome. That's probably what it was. Instead of 20 drops, which is what they meant to type in, they should have had some zeros before that first two, right? The only two. Would have fixed the problem there. Or, I mean, it is possible also that they just transferred so much, they didn't care. They were just so lazy, and they just don't care about the $10, and they just were quick, and they're going about their day, just like, screw it, I don't care. I don't even want to think. Just there, that'll definitely cover it. That's possible, too. But it's probably one of those. That would be my guess anyway. And then there's also this from the Daily Hodl. An SBF testimony could add decades to his prison sentence, according to lawyer. Here's why. A pair of lawyers unaffiliated with Sam Bankman-Fried, or FTX, are weighing in on the possibility of the former CEO testifying during his ongoing trial. In a new interview with Laura Shin on the Unchained podcast, Sam Enzer, partner at law firm Cahill, Gordon, and Reindel, says he thinks Bankman-Fried would likely only make things worse for himself by testifying. Says Enzer, and this is a quote, "What I would say to him is, we're going to lose. We're not winning this trial. We have to think about sentencing. If you testify, you are going to add decades to your sentence. You're not going to change the outcome, and the judge will find, in addition to being guilty, that you not only didn't accept responsibility, but you tried to commit perjury, and this is a judge who will really slam you for that. It's a mistake." End quote. And so, folks, I'll say this too. I think that it seems like a high probability to me. And fine, I'm not an attorney. I just play one on YouTube. But it seems like a very high probability that scam, bank run, fraud is going to be found guilty. And so then it's just a question, is he just going to go to jail for a few decades, or is it going to be something that's more like he's going to be there for the rest of his life? And I hope it's the later one, because he destroyed so many people's lives. But it's going to happen. So then, do you think he's actually going to get put on? I'm kind of skeptical of this. And not that they're saying that they think that for sure this is going to happen, but they're saying, and in a hypothetical where it is, it's probably not good for me. Well, yeah, I would buy that. I would buy that it's actually a really, really, really bad idea. And in fact, he explains as we go a little bit further through this, if anything, if they do this, if they put him on the stand, it seems like it's a Hail Mary. So let me go a little bit further. They write, piece continues. On the other hand, Inzer also thinks that testifying is Bankman-Fried's only shot at acquittal and could be a desperate Hail Mary attempt to lower his sentence or be acquitted. And he said, quote, now I do think his only shot for an acquittal is to testify. The evidence is too overwhelming as far as I can tell. And the crosses have just not done enough to punch holes in the government's case. The only way to give the jury a competing theory would be for him to testify, but I think even if he testified, there's just too much going against him. There's too much headwind, and so I would say, don't do it. End quote. Greg Strong, partner at DLX Law, goes on to echo Inzer's thoughts, and he said, quote, I would agree with that. I think it's going to be complicated by the fact that I strongly believe that he will want to testify. And ultimately, and by the way, I'll just pause this here because this guy is a narcissist. The ego is just completely out of control. This guy, he thinks that he can just say whatever and just be so smooth that he can just trick anybody into believing whatever the hell comes out of his stupid little face hole. I think that I think he just, to me, seems like a sociopath, by the way. And I've said that before. I really mean, I don't think he gives a damn about anyone. He just lies, is what it is, says what he has to do. And he's even admitted a bunch of lies. You know, the front-facing stuff about how he's altruistic and this or that, and about how he got rid of his luxury car and started driving, might have been a Honda or something like that, just so that he'd have the appearance of living a modest lifestyle. Who's falling for that, though? Are there people out there who actually fall for this? Either way, the point is he's attempting to manipulate. That's the point. That's who this guy is. And so I could believe that if he's on the stand, he's thinking, oh, yeah, I'm going to pull a fast one of these guys. Except for, is he at this point? Because, you know, like, the bloom is off the rose, as they say. You know, we got to peek behind the curtain at who this monster really is, right? Anyway, here's the rest of the quote from the attorney. And ultimately, it's his call, so he has to take the advice of his lawyers. But just stepping back, my experience with people who have been able to accomplish wide-scale financial fraud is that they do it because they can be very convincing. And if they are very convincing to a lot of people over a long period of time, they sort of believe that they have this ability to convince people whenever they want to. I think that's sort of going to play into this question of whether or not he will testify. And that's why I think he will want to testify, because I think he will believe that he can convince people that he was, you know, maybe not as involved as is being portrayed in the government's case right now. But I think it would be a mistake, end quote. Yep. That part of the thinking I'm definitely in line with. He would believe that he can do whatever. The ego of this guy. And he doesn't give a damn about anybody but himself. But he thinks he can trick. He thinks everybody else is an idiot, and he's so smart. That's the type of person that he is. He's an absolute monster. So we'll see if he does it. I don't think it'll be good for him either. I'd be surprised. I don't believe this is going to go well for him. I believe that what's most likely is justice is going to be done. Let me know what you think. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.